from our Universal Radio studios. Celebrities from TV, music, movies, literature, politics, and show business. At one time or another, they all come to the Ron Sedgy Show. So why don't you?
You can try fighting the law all you want, but the law is always going to win. From politicians and celebrities to sports figures and business leaders, they're fighting the law. Now, here to sort out the nation's top legal news stories is America's favorite legal analyst, Royal Oakes. This is the Royal Oakes Show.
Robbing people with a 6-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the
Thank you, Mike Horn, and welcome to the Royal Oakes Show, and welcome to our co-host Ken Jeffries. How are you today, Ken?
Hi, what a wild news week.
And Ken and Connor, our millennial correspondent. How are you?
Yeah.
Great, happy to be here as always.
Better yet, who are you? We haven't seen you in a while.
That's right. And big stories, Ken. You're right, wild week, but one especially big in our world. Our pal from KABC Radio signed off for the last time.
Yeah, he did.
Yes,
Doug McIntyre.
Well done.
22 years at KABC. I think he started doing overnights. He then went to mornings, back to overnights for a while, back to mornings, had an amazing run. And I remember thinking, because he comes from the world of television situation comedy writing, that world, if you're around for a year and a half, boy, that's a run.
Impressive, yeah.
You know, it's so difficult to even get a show on the air. So he went from that world where you kind of bond with a family for a matter of months, maybe a year or two, and then boom, he worked with folks on WKRP in Cincinnati, and I think Full House. So he had a terrific run, and I know. Connor, you had a chance to work up close and personal with him because you were an intern for the morning show.
A fantastic opportunity with him, with John Phillips, with Nathan Baker, a bunch of the other morning show guys from back in the day then. It was an amazing, really, really formative. This was before I even went to college. I was in high school. I think it might have been the summer between high school and college, my first year of college. And yeah, it was a really amazing experience. Early mornings, I would say, but a taste of what this sort of morning show journalism was about finding the news stories. And yeah, the guy had
brilliant man.
an incredible memory and just off the
Doug.
top of his head.
And passions. I mean, I had the opportunity to chat with him briefly during his final show, and he was nice enough to thank me for bloviating about legal stories over the years. And I made the point that everybody appreciated the passion that he had for things like music and history in particular. I mean, the old saying about how we're doomed to repeat history if we don't pay attention to it. And he knew that in spades. I mean, he was always reaching back into American history, world history, to try to make points about current issues. So it's going to be a shame that we won't hear him. But I guess we'll wait and see who the replacement is. That has not been announced.
Not been announced. TBA, I guess, is what they call it, to be announced. Also, his name made the news on the New York radio message board.
Really?
Yeah, because he did a show on WABC in New York too for a while.
Yeah,
he did two shows, I think, the 5 to 6 a.m. New York time, and the other one was 5 to 6 p.m. New York time, I believe so.
Hardest working man in show business. So let's get into our top stories here. Just last night, a big story broke. Obamacare tossed out by a federal trial court judge in Texas. Yeah, we'll get to the details.
Still in place, pending an appeal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still an open question as to whether Obamacare is going to be tossed in the dustbin of history.
Scrap heap.
We'll get into those details. The Michael Cohen story, huge, of course. Without corroboration by Michael Cohen, I'm wondering, is Trump going to skate on the whole Stormy Daniels thing? We'll talk about that. Impeachment. Donald Trump says, no way, folks would revolt. I think that's a pretty provocative, interesting thing to say, and I'm be interested in your guys' reaction to that. And of course, we also were treated to the Oval Office game of Shutdown Chicken, where it was so weird the way Trump escorted Nancy and Chuck Schumer into the Oval Office. They thought they were going to, wave and smile.
That seems like a year ago, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it happened this week.
It was 4 or 5 days ago.
Wednesday.
That was wild.
And I think his guests thought that they were going to have a private chat with the president.
Absolutely.
And the president made it clear clear, oh, no, boys, stick around. We'd like you to hear
he thought
what
he was
we have
setting
to
a
say.
trap.
But I think the question is who came out on top.
Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous once you're in the trap with the bear.
Yeah, we'll
who
get
wins?
We'll get into that, and also we'll get into the caravan, the dickering back and forth between the migrants. They're at the border, and basically they've said, look, give us $50,000 a head, and we'll go back to Honduras.
Is that what they said?
That's exactly what they said. We'll get into that issue as well.
And now you had a child die while in U.S. Border
Yes,
Patrol.
and I'm surprised there hasn't been more coverage of that.
Well, there's been some.
There's been wall-to-wall coverage. Depends on what outlet you're listening to.
I'm surprised they haven't gone to 4 walls, Connor. You just mentioned 2.
Well, this is only Saturday. Wait till Monday now.
Ceiling to
This
4.
happened toward the end of the week.
So we're also going to have our feature Moron of the Week. We're going to have 2 candidates who did very stupid things. And we'll vote at the end of the show on who is the stupidest of them all. And one of them happens to be one of the most famous athletes on the planet who did something that was...
Oh, I know. I think I know what it is.
I think you're ahead of me on that.
I know what it is.
We'll get to the Moron of the Week feature. But to the top story, so the Obamacare, the fight, it just never ends. I mean, to go very briefly over the history lesson, Obama comes in, and what do you know? The Democrats control the House and the Senate as well, so it's pretty much a blank check, kind of like Trump has had over the last couple of years. But Trump didn't exploit his opportunity. Obama did, and Obamacare was passed in 2010 without a single Republican vote. And so we've got it. Immediately the Republicans sue. It works its way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And in 2012, the Supreme Court, very narrowly, I think, decided it's constitutional. And Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts, had the key vote and the key theory. He said, okay, you say it's unconstitutional to force people to buy insurance. What is this, Russia? We're forcing people to buy insurance? It's really just a tax, because if they don't buy insurance, they got to pay $1,000 or $2,000 as a penalty. And so it was upheld. Obamacare wins. We move along, all sorts of attempts to scrap it, but they all fail. Well, last night, late in Texas, a single federal court judge issued a national injunction. I think I've heard about those national
liberal
injunctions.
judges are issuing national injunctions.
I've heard about those things, killing the travel ban and killing all of Trump's immigration policies. But this judge, he has said, you know what, I think Obamacare is unconstitutional because of something that happened last year. In 2017, the Republican-controlled Congress changed Obamacare to say, all right, we can't turn down people with pre-existing conditions, and all right, we're gonna give people subsidies if they can't afford their premiums, but the law that says you have to buy health insurance or else you're breaking the law and have to pay $1,000 or $2,000 penalty, that's wrong, that's out of here, and so that is no longer part of Obamacare. Then a bunch of Republican-controlled states sued in Texas, saying, Judge, now that the mandate is gone, Obamacare has to collapse by its own weight because, you know, without the mandate, it doesn't make sense. You can't have half of it. And what do you know? The judge last night said, yeah, Obamacare is out completely. Now, as you said and mentioned a minute ago, Connor, when we started, it isn't the last word. Do you want to explain?
Yeah, this is a process. You're going to get an appeal to, I believe, since it's Texas, it'll be the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals.
We have the Ninth Circuit in California.
The liberal Ninth
Fifth is
Circuit.
a little less liberal in Texas, right?
So, and then from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, it will go to the Supreme Court. And in the meantime, it's status quo as normal. The Obamacare will continue as the law of the land until the appeals process has ended, probably with the Supreme Court. You only need 4 justices to want to take the case up, which means if the case gets to the Supreme Court, the 4 liberals will say, yes, get it in here, we have to save it, if the middle judge doesn't change things. And then at the Supreme Court, you're probably going to get the 4 liberals and then John Roberts, who comes in and saves it. Again, it's unlikely that in the meantime he has changed his mind about the merits of this.
I don't see it going down.
It's unlikely to be to
Ken,
change, really.
What do you think, though, from a political standpoint? Don't you think this is a tailor-made issue for the Democrats to energize their base? They're saying, oh my gosh, we're depending on Obamacare.
They ran on it. And,
absolutely. They're coming for your health care.
It's like, hello, here's a silver platter. Here's something on a silver platter.
I mean, it's basically Republicans have Obama's coming for your guns, and Democrats have they're coming for your health care. It's the same thing. And this judge, I mean, he really was coming for their health care, right? Now, he might personally want whatever law to exist after it's all shakes out and some other replacement comes in to patch over Obamacare. But this judge explicitly wants ACA to fail, and it's a pretty nakedly, in my read of the thing, the 55-page decision that we got last night and went over, this is a pretty nakedly political decision. It is what many judges do that everybody has a big problem with in politics, it's hard to articulate sometimes what exactly it is that they're doing wrong, but what they're doing is they're ignoring the political reality. This judge even wrote about it. He wrote a little mini history lesson in there, and he said, look, the Republicans came in, and in 2017 they passed a Jobs Act. It's called the Tax Cuts and More Jobs Act or something of 2017. And because it was a tax cut act, in the Reconciliation Committee phase, where they're slamming the Senate bill against the House of Representatives bill and deciding what the whole bill will end up looking like, during that phase, they could reduce the Obamacare penalty tax that says if you don't buy insurance, you pay this tax. They could reduce it by an amount because that's reducing taxes. That's what this bill is. It's a tax reduction bill. So that's all they could do. That's the only part of the law that they could affect because they were passing a tax reduction bill. So they take the tax from $695 to zero.
So, bottom line, the U.S. Supreme Court is in a position to ride to the rescue, but we have to wait for the intermediate court to make a decision. But meantime, your Obamacare policies aren't going to be torn up. Let's talk about Michael Cohen, the other big story of the week. He got sentenced to 3 years in prison. He has to pay $1.4 million, I think, in restitution.
He sells off a couple of taxi medallions in New York.
That's
Actually, he owns, and it's hard to explain, I think, to people, those of us here in Southern California, I guess, what a taxi medallion is.
Yeah, it's a license to print money.
It was in New York until Lyft and Uber came along and killed the taxi business in New York. I think they are licenses to own,
but it's still
perhaps
be a
either
big deal.
a cab or a fleet of cabs in the city of New York.
Each one is a
but it's not a license to print money anymore.
It used to be, and actually, they were like real estate. They were untouchable real estate. There were not more issued out there. So it used to be an individual medallion. I don't know where they peaked. They peaked
I think
north of $1 million.
They're worth a lot of money.
They were north of $1 million
is.
Each, and now they've cratered.
They were $1 million.
They were north of $1 million, and now each one is cratered. They're below $200K.
Yeah, because of Lyft and Uber.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the significance of the Cohen deal, because what emerged during the week's news is that Cohen apparently is going to really put a fine point on the idea that Donald Trump directed him to violate the campaign finance laws in 2016 by paying Stormy Daniels $130,000 or so in money. And doggone it, Donald knew darn well that he was violating the law. So now the question in my mind is a couple of things. First, without corroboration, like in the form of a tape recording between Donald Trump and Michael Cohen, I don't think people can really trust or rely on Michael Cohen because he's trying to avoid 70 years in prison, and he actually could get even less than 3 years. But secondly, even if there is evidence, I mean, it's lying about sex. And Bill Clinton lied about sex 25 times under oath, committed perjury, and the nation and the Democrats said, give me a break. This is not impeachment worthy. Why would Donald Trump lying in the context not of perjury, where it seems more important to tell the truth, but instead in the context of some esoteric campaign finance law, is the nation really going to hold it against Donald Trump?
It depends. Rudy Giuliani is already saying no one got killed.
Yeah,
right.
So
Nobody
sounds
got
like
killed,
he's anticipating, okay,
Orrin Hatch says he doesn't care when he sure as heck cared about Clinton, if I recall.
And you noticed Lindsey Graham says now he doesn't care about lying about sex.
I don't care about lying about sex, and let's not go. But don't look back at the video of me railing against how you don't even have to, as Lindsey Graham put it, you don't even have to commit a crime to lose this presidency, okay? This is America. We can kick you out for any reason, and Bill Clinton, you lied about sex to get out.
It's so funny, we were talking about it this morning, and Connor mentioned to me, he said, well, Lindsey Graham's inconsistent. Now he says, I don't care if the president lied about sex. And what about Clinton? And I said, I don't think Lindsey Graham was even born when Clinton was impeached in 98. And then you called up the video where there he is on the Senate floor.
And his hair is not silver. It's dark. He's young. He's svelte. Looking good, Lindsey.
Tanned. He's ready. Yeah. And he's a guy, too, contrary to the rumor that Ruth Bader Ginsburg started. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was giving a speech about all the wonderful women in the U.S. Senate. And she said, there's Kamala Harris, and there's Dianne Feinstein, there's Lindsey Graham.
Poor Lindsey.
A little mistake. When we come back, impeachment. Trump says, no way, folks would revolt. Stick with us on The Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with The Royal Oak Show. you're experiencing pain, back pain, shoulder, elbow, or hand pain, pain from a sports injury. If so, schedule a visit with Dr. Michael Sheps, the leading expert in laser therapy for pain management. Call 310-873-4422 or go to drsheps.com. Experience Epic T, the breakthrough laser therapy system that Dr. Sheps developed to make you pain-free in less time. Laser therapy is a non-invasive, safe, and effective in-office procedure that penetrates deep into your skin without damaging the tissue. It perfectly targets areas of pain to promote fast, natural healing. Relax your muscles, ease muscle spasms, joint stiffness, and arthritis pain while increasing blood circulation. For over 25 years, Dr. Sheps has helped Olympic athletes and sports enthusiasts alike get back in the game. Schedule your visit with Dr. Sheps at his Brentwood office in California. Call 310-873-4422 or visit drsheps.com. That's DRSHEPS.com. 310-873-4422.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. So, Moron of the Week candidate number one, guys. I told you it's one of the most famous athletes in the world. His name is Steph Curry.
Steph Curry!
He's the incredibly talented NBA player for the Golden State Warriors.
Unbelievable. Just on another level with 3 points. Just
and
like...
he does a podcast called Winging It. Perhaps he was inspired by us. I don't know.
Oh, he was a guest, I think, on a sports podcast, right? Do you remember? Do you know who the host is on that podcast?
Vince Carter. Vince Carter's the host. Kent Bazemore,
retired NBA player. Is he retired now, Vince Carter? God, he played on.
Yeah, I'm sure he has to be, right?
Oh man.
So they're chit-chatting about this and they're talking about the sounds dinosaurs perhaps made. They're speculating on paleontology issues.
Okay, I'm not going to say that's outside their basketball expertise because we talk about stuff on our podcast.
It's a podcast.
That's outside our expertise all the time.
Like this, for instance.
Exactly.
So Steph Curry shifts gears,
right?
And he asks the other folks if they really think the U.S. put a person on the moon.
Oh no.
And he says to them, "We ever been to the moon?" He said, "Hey, you guys think we're?" And they said, "No." They all agreed, "No, we haven't been." So Curry says, "They're going to come and get us. I don't want to start conspiracies." So they talked, and they said they did not believe the U.S. have landed on the moon, even though, according to NASA anyway, we've done it 6 times from 1969 to 1972. We put a total of 12 astronauts on the lunar surface. That would be quite a conspiracy.
And it was the lead story, by the way, on ESPN for like a day and a half.
Really?
I'm not. It was crazy.
I'm glad they talk about important stories.
Get mileage out of that.
Slow sports.
So I don't mean to be judgmental, but I'm nominating Steph Curry as the number one candidate for Moron of the Week.
Did he backtrack on that?
You know,
I haven't heard it, but I don't want to diminish the fun of our story.
Can I add something? NASA has offered him, I think, a tour. Seriously,
of the moon.
They want to send him there.
That's great, PR.
Alice.
NASA, absolutely. That's brilliant.
There's also that
NASA
NBA player, and I forget. It might have been Tristan Thompson. I don't remember who it was. I forgot. Another famous NBA player said the world is flat.
Oh goodness.
So back on Cohen and Russia, before we move on to the impeachment issue, I just wanted to add one follow-up. Apparently, the National Enquirer element is a real point of jeopardy for Trump, because apparently what happened is that the National Enquirer was meeting with Cohen, and they're meeting with Trump, and the idea was that they will facilitate the process of giving over $100,000 to Karen McDougal, the playmate from Playboy, who apparently had a long-term year or more affair with Trump. And so the plan was they would give her this money, and they would couch it in terms of, well, we're going to do a story about you, but you'll clam up. You'll only talk to us about your affair with Trump.
Yeah, and this is sort of a thing that the National Enquirer does. The reason that the National Enquirer's stories are so bizarre and outlandish is because they pay sources. Basically every legitimate news organization doesn't pay sources, because that's how you get crazy people who are just looking for money. But the National Enquirer does, and because there is a news source that pays sources, they can actually be the facilitator that catches and kills stuff for rich people who want their stories off the street.
So Mueller shows up in the office of David Pecker. David Pecker is the CEO of American Media, which is the parent of National Enquirer. And they have a nice little chat about the fact that, it looks like you guys might have been mixed up with some illegal stuff with Trump and Cohen. And here's the deal. We're going to give you immunity, Mr. Pecker. Immunity.
Yeah, it's nice.
Is there laughter at the other side of the studio?
Oh, I don't know. You know, I thought that joke was... I thought I wouldn't laugh at his name, but
it was uncontrollable.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, now Pecker's got immunity, and Mueller has a cooperating witness.
So you're saying Pecker's got protection?
Yeah, he's got protection, and if he can provide evidence, if he can
use protection for your Pecker,
if he can provide persuasive proof, Pecker will be the downfall of Trump, I think, because he's going to join Mueller in essentially saying, we hate to say this, Donald, but you knew you were violating.
Right.
I'm glad, by the way, these microphones have windscreens on them to protect against people popping their base when they talk about
plosives.
I hate when that happens. So Donald Trump was talking about impeachment this week, and he says, no way, people would revolt.
Yeah, that doesn't sit right with me, to have the president saying, no, people would revolt, because by saying that, he's talking to his base and not only threatening his enemies with his base, but he's also goading his base into action in a scary, violent way.
It really is bad. I mean, the peaceful transfer of power, in spite of our amazingly intense feelings throughout history about presidents, not just now, but throughout our history, the peaceful transfer of power and respect for the rule of law, outcome of elections and political processes, including impeachment, is huge. It's made us, I think, unique among all nations. So for Trump to say, with maybe an utter lack of historical context and appreciation and his over-the-top narcissism, for him not to get that is really scary. I mean, Johnson and Nixon were probably just as narcissistic as Donald Trump, but at least they knew how the rules went.
Yeah, you don't stand up there and say, you can't impeach me or there will be a revolt. I'm safe.
Yeah, Johnson knew that he was out of there and he quit, and Nixon knew impeachment would mean he was out, so he quit. When we come back, more about the Oval Office shutdown chicken game. Stay with us.
Were you scammed into signing a timeshare contract? And did you miss the part that said you have to pay for your great idea? Not only for the rest of your life, but when you're not here anymore, you get to pass this turkey onto your family for them to pay for the rest of their lives. Thanks, Dad. Don't burden your family down the road, and don't be stuck with expensive timeshare payments forever. Get out of your bad idea timeshare contract guaranteed, or pay nothing. Call Resort Release today and learn for free how their timeshare exit team can help you legally exit your timeshare contract. They've helped thousands of people, and they're A+ rated with a BBB. So if you feel scammed, get mad and get out of your expensive timeshare contract right now, guaranteed. Call NOW.
800-716-9903. 800-716-9903. 800-716-9903. That's 800-716-9903.
When you really want a new year to remember, you have got to get to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. It's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Revelers of the world, heads up. It's not too late to plan the triumphant arrival of 2019 at New Year Central Columbo's. 323-254-9138. Do it right. What good is a New Year's without champagne and a meatball, I ask you? New Year's at Columbo's. You haven't lived until you've done it right. Great food, scintillating steaks, the freshest fish, Columbo family Italian specialties, party favors galore, and jazz to help bring in the new year on a festive note. And it won't break the bank. 323-254-9138. A Los Angeles tradition, especially on New Year's Eve. Columbo's, that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's, Banja. Columbo's. Happy New Year!
The following ad contains shocking material. Listener discretion is advised. Is someone in your family playing a dangerous game of Russian roulette? Over 43,000 people die a year from drug overdose. 120 people a day. 5 people every hour. 1 person every 12 minutes. 88,000 people die every year from alcohol abuse. Over 240 people a day. 10 an hour. 1 person every 6 minutes. Somebody you know may be next. Learn how to help someone you love get away from the drugs, alcohol, and bad influences. With the FMLA, people can take a leave of absence from their job and still keep it.
Call Quit Drugs 321 now at 800-378-3315, 800-378-3315, 800-378-3315. That's 800-378-3315.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. Ken, you know the name of this group, right?
I'm glad all over that I know the name of the group.
That's right, exactly. Glad all over is the title of the song, Connor.
Dave Clark 5.
How about 20 years before you were born?
Yeah, I'm not going to get this.
20 years.
Something like that. In that, well, I mean,
69 would be 20 years before.
Yeah, so actually this is even more than 20 years over Connor was born.
The song was recorded in 1894 on the Edison cylinder.
I saw a picture in the newspaper today. It wasn't a current item, obviously, when I tell you. It was Henry Ford and Thomas Alva Edison in 1925. They were both like 100 years old. Chatting, one was whispering something to the other, and I thought, wow, that's pretty historical.
Yeah, wow.
Thomas Alva Edison and Hank
Ford.
Yeah, good question. Probably how rich each of them was. So we're going to get back to election stuff and Donald Trump stuff, but it's time for our feature, Guess the Verdict. I'm going to lay 3 cases on you guys, and let's see how good you are at guessing the outcome of the case.
All right.
El Paso police officer Sylvia DeAngelis is promoted to lieutenant. That's good news, right?
Congrats.
And there's an article in the Cops newsletter about her promotion. The article describes female recruits as some good-looking canines and says physically the police broads just don't got it when fighting crooks on the job. She sues for sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Can't really blame her. These morons with a printing press. So, what do you think? How do you think the sexual harassment suit came out?
It's got to be a slam dunk. They wrote an article about.
I'm sure they said it was satirical.
Oh my!
Their sense of humor.
There's no way.
Was it labeled satire in any way?
No, it wasn't labeled satire.
There's just no way that
I was
flies.
asking for more facts, and I don't have more
What
facts.
is the name of the organization was what that printed
El
it?
Paso Police Department, police newsletter.
Police news. It wasn't an independent newspaper.
New bullets, guys, and
Or you know what? We used to, at KFWB years ago, we had a thing called the Newsline.
Yeah,
which
Don
was written
Herbert.
by the
I
late
remember.
Don Herbert was
I used to
anchored
get
there.
it.
And he was when it was an all news station, folks, in the 1920s. No, it was in the 1980s.
Before it was all news, it was rock and roll, as we discussed last week.
Yeah, yes, it was. Anyway, but it was an in-house organ, as they say, a newspaper, and it made fun of people.
Didn't we finish
too.
up with that Pecker story?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I don't know.
Okay, so guys,
they go down in
it's a
flames.
trick
I think
question.
she has a case.
It's a trick question.
Uh-oh.
She won $60,000 at trial. Guess what? Federal appeals court judge Edith Jones reverses the decision, saying, quote, "The law does not provide a remedy for every tasteless joke or groundless rumor that confronts women in the workplace." So, a win and a loss. Case number
Great job,
2.
Edith.
Let's go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, shall we? A federal judge seizes a computer owned by a convicted murderer in prison. He used the computer to type up lawsuits against the manufacturers of hair conditioner, yogurt, a TV set, shaving cream, and a pain reliever. The judge says if the plaintiff were to be believed, every consumer product to which he's ever been exposed has caused him serious bodily injury. I'm taking his computer. He sues to get the laptop back. So who wins? Judge Connor, this is a toughie, huh?
It is.
A lot of mischief going on inside that hard drive.
Yeah. I'm going to say the state wins because it's the state and they are making the decision as well.
What about you, Ken? Who wins there in Tulsa?
Go for the prisoner or the
Oklahoma?
state?
Now, the appeals court sent the computer back to the prisoner.
Wow. Okay. Win-win for the little guy, the felon. Good job, felon.
Circle gets the square.
Yeah.
It's like Hollywood Squares, right?
Congratulations,
Third and final story. We're going to stay in prison. Christopher Lyons is an imprisoned drug dealer in Grand Rapids. He sues Kellogg's. Lovely Kellogg's, everybody's favorite, of Battle Creek.
Okay.
And he also sues Smucker's Jelly, claiming that when he bit into a Pop-Tart, a shard of glass injured his mouth, causing him emotional trauma and nightmares. He'd like $310,000 in damages. He said he couldn't sleep for 72 hours straight. He had nightmares in which he was dead in a coffin in prison as a result of eating Pop-Tarts. So the case gets to court. Who wins, Christopher Lyons or the Department of Corrections?
I'm going to say Kellogg's and Smuckers were able to smuck this one down.
Geez.
Okay, that was horrible.
A smuck down.
Smuck down, yeah. Because there's just no way that he could prove that his horrific coffin death in prison related nightmares were connected to the defective Pop-Tart. He's already in prison. He's already suffering. Everybody in prison is probably having nightmares about dying in prison. They can't say that it was really the Pop-Tart that did it to him.
All right, so you're pretty tough on the guy. What about you?
Yeah, me
Ken?
too.
What do you think?
I agree again.
Well, it's another trick question because it was dismissed simply because it was below the jurisdictional minimum of the court.
No!
So there you go.
We'll never know.
A technicality. We never will.
We'll lose on Hollywood Squares on that one.
So in the Oval Office this week, quite a confrontation. The president invites Majority Leader to be Nancy Pelosi. Apparently she's going to get that job because she's promised term limits. You know, when she's 110, she'll stop doing this.
Yeah.
But she won't look 110.
That's true.
And he invites Chuck Schumer in. I know, that was cruel. That was a low blow. Well, we'll leave it right there.
We'll face that another time, right?
So Chuck Schumer goes in as well. And I think the Democrats thought, well, they were going to wave at the cameras and make nice, and then they were going to close the doors, and they were going to have a serious discussion.
Behind closed doors.
But Trump starts speaking in a confrontational, sort of dogmatic way about these issues, about the border, and he doesn't want the press to leave. And so he wanted the whole incident to be recorded. I guess I wonder what you think. Do you think it was in his interest to have the cameras record him saying, doggone it, I'll take responsibility. I'll shut down the government because I want the $5 billion for border security. We got some bad hombres coming across the border. Do you think it was smart for him to make that call?
No. I really don't. I think he made a big miscalculation there politically because he came off as looking sort of dogmatic and unreasonable, and at the same time, his supporters who want him to be dogmatic and unreasonable and to demand that this border wall get built in a brick and mortar, old medieval castle-style way. They want him to do that when he has the power to actually get it done. They don't want a shouting, toothless old man screaming, "Get off my lawn" at the lawn of the White House. They want a guy who's going to say, "I know how to get things done, and I'm going to give no
Ken,
quarter."
you were saying off the air, you thought that Schumer didn't look all that great.
Well, he didn't have a lot of eye contact with Trump. He looked straight ahead, although he did look at him on occasion. But I think he goaded Trump in a way to say the magic words, "I'll take responsibility for a government shutdown."
The reaction to when Pelosi...
it's almost like he let him down, and Pelosi put up a good fight, too.
And when Pelosi whipped out and she said, so I don't think I don't think anybody wants there to be a Trump shutdown. And Trump immediately says, "A what?" And she said pauses.
I think he said Pelosi shut down. He mumbled Pelosi shut down.
Oh, did he?
I think he mumbled.
It didn't stick. Whatever he said.
It was quite a cage fight in the Oval Office.
Whatever it was, they led him down the path.
And
so he said, "I'll take responsibility." For
and she played his game with the nickname thing and the bluster and the bravado and saber rattling.
And did you notice somebody pointed out that Vice President Pence was actually in the meeting the entire time and did not say a single word? The thing I pointed out was he had his hand up the entire time, and nobody called.
It's so unfair. No, his body language and facial expression were bizarre. He was, fully back in his chair, angled fully away from Trump.
He didn't have his hand. Did he have his hand up at all? Seriously, did he have his hand?
That was my Facebook joke.
It was a joke,
and I got some very good feedback on that.
But it was really amazing how clear it is in my mind, at least. His attitude is, I'm just going to outlive Trump. I'm going to survive this whole thing, and either we will exit gracefully at the end of our term and be done, or Trump gets impeached and I'm president. That sounds great.
I know Trump ran it as a non-president, and I understand that. But he really, I thought he made a mistake. He made a mistake by they let him into those words. Say the magic words,
and then he did.
All government shutdown. It's on me.
All right, so dickering at the border. You got the migrant caravan. They've come up from Honduras. They're at the border, and the big news this week is a representative of the group went to the Americans, and they said, okay, here's the deal. You give us $50,000 each, and we will go home. We'll go back to Honduras. Apparently, the president's thinking about this.
Deal or no deal?
Yeah. So apparently, the reporters said, "Why is it exactly you think it's you should?" Well, America has stolen far more than that from us. Now, the United Fruit Company is a big, powerful force in Honduras and other countries in Central America, and you could maybe make a case that American imperialism has been evil and ripped people off in various ways. I don't know beans about that. I just know that there's been a simmering dispute for many years. But the idea of coming up with a $50,000 per head demand, I don't know, do you think that maybe plays into Donald Trump's hands? Don't you think that politically helps him?
Where'd that come from? I read that too, but I don't know where it came from.
The problem is...
just a representative of the Hondurans at the border.
And that's a problem because these are not like politically savvy folks who are aware of how things are going to play with the American base and know how best to negotiate their way into whatever, a path to refugee status or something else. They're desperate people, and desperate people, like, honestly, to me it almost says, how bad must their situation be back in Honduras that they would demand $50,000 each.
Right. And on a side note, they had a death, too, of a young girl. I think she was like 7. Yeah. And Kirsten, if I pronounce her name right, Kirsten, I can't pronounce her name. Nielsen, who heads Department of Homeland Security, essentially said it's the family's fault. They knew that they knew the trek was dangerous when they took it.
Horrifyingly,
totally
paraphrasing a lot.
Absolutely, horrifyingly, Kirsten Nielsen said this is dangerous. The trip is dangerous, and quote, this is why you don't make the journey. So this is like the most explicit vocalization of the idea that the horrible conditions for people at the border and our anti-humanitarian attitude towards them, family separation especially, is a deterrence method. We are literally creating a wall of pain and suffering that you will have to get through in order to come here so that people will not come here. And that is a very anti-humanitarian way to deal with a refugee crisis. That's extremely insensitive and callous. And today,
there's
also
something
this
else,
week,
too, that I saw last night. Some of the refugees, well, if you want to call them refugees, that's an open question, too. have numbers on their arms.
That's not a good.
Which evokes, Nazis, Jews,
sure.
World War II, and all of that. It's not a tattoo. I don't think. I don't know, but that's not a good look either.
There's a Border Patrol video of a Border Patrol agent doing what lots of Border Patrol agents do on their patrols, their routes of the area that they patrol on the border in South Texas, who comes upon a cache of water that has been stashed by someone on the path of like a coyote, and finds the cache of water, and on the video sort of gleefully pours out the cache of water as part of this is how we stop people from getting across the border. That is condemning the people who would come along that path, who are relying on the cache of water literally to death.
You mentioned the issue of optics, and I think it's a shame that optics issues have such a big impact. I mean, they certainly push public opinion one way or the other, when the fact of the matter is we should be focusing not on anecdotal evidence or optics. We should be talking about the best public policy. Should people be allowed should we have open borders or not? What kind of asylum rules should we have? Should we be having one judge have the power to issue a national injunction stopping the change in asylum rules? But it's hard to focus on that when you've got the optics issues.
It's true.
There's another sort of optics issue in terms of somebody being down on the First Amendment. I don't know if you heard about this week.
Who needs it?
Democrat Congressman Ted Lieu from here in California.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's been one of President Trump's most vocal critics on the Hill. He's a California liberal, of course. Mm-hmm. So what he said was that he was asked on CNN about, Mr. Lieu, why didn't you press Google's CEO, who was up on the Hill, harder about whether the company was biased, was it vulnerable to outside influence? And Mr. Lieu replied, he said, I would love to be able to regulate the content of speech. The First Amendment prevents me from doing so. Now, he got a lot of flack for this comment, saying, I would love to be able to regulate the content of speech. Do you think maybe he sort of did a little harm to his own career in terms of maybe when he's up for re-election?
Yeah, Lieu definitely stepped in it there. That's not the phrasing you want to use. You want to say there is speech that is harmful and damaging, but to the extent that we can tolerate it as a society as a way to facilitate beneficial speech and prevent the suppression of important, crucial, beneficial speech that would be suppressed and oppressed if we allowed speech to be regulated, we have to let some harmful, damaging speech exist.
But
he didn't say that. Yeah. He said it very badly.
I would love to be able to regulate the content of speech. Is not the most politic way.
Shove it down those MAGA heads' throats.
I didn't know he said that, and I'm a little disappointed but that he said that. And he shouldn't have said that. But
ordinarily, he's a very eloquent guy. Ordinarily, he puts his statements together very well. So it's uncharacteristically out of step for me, for Ted Lieu, for sure.
So Stormy Daniels this week was ordered to pay $300,000 to Donald Trump. You think there's going to be a big ceremony at the White House where she hands over the check? And
that's a great idea.
Michael Cohen will deliver it.
Or maybe Avenatti. But the background is, Stormy and Donald, according to her, had sex about 2006 when Melania was in dry dock because the Barron was just barely born. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump's running for president. Stormy's talking to folks about maybe revealing the tryst. So Michael Cohen, cuts a deal whereby Donald Trump will pay her $130,000. This is a couple of weeks before the election. And the deal says, nobody talks about this. And if there's a dispute about this agreement, then it goes to arbitration, and the winner gets attorney's fees. So then Stormy, with Michael Avenatti in tow, sues and says, that's secrecy agreement. That's illegal. That was in pursuit of a campaign law violation. Therefore, it was an illegal contract. Therefore, I don't have to be quiet. And I want the court to declare I don't have to be quiet. And it might have to be in the arbitration setting. Meantime, Donald says, the business about a thug threatening Stormy, that didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
She sues him for defamation because she says, you're calling me a liar.
Right.
The lawsuit by her for defamation has been tossed out of court as a result of a special motion called an anti-slap motion, where if you're sued, you can file an anti-slap motion, and it says, that suit was so bad it was designed to chill my First Amendment speech rights. I want it dismissed now, and by the way, under the special anti-slap statute, I get my attorney's fees. Guess what? The federal judge Otero dismissed the suit that she had filed. He awarded the attorney's fees. Good luck to Donald Trump collecting $300,000
in ones.
When we come back, our second moron of the week candidate. Stick with us on the Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show. Holiday party? Feel the spirit at Angelo's and Vinci's. Check out our festive banquet rooms. Call 714-879-4022 and schedule your holiday party today. And at Angelo and Vinci's, we have your holiday shopping covered. Gift certificate. One size fits all. Enjoy great food from the 2018 Best Italian Restaurant in Orange County, California. Feel the spirit at Angelo and Vinci's. Plan your holiday party. Dine nightly. Enjoy champagne Sunday brunch for just $21.95. Give our holiday gift certificates. And visit our Italian town square with Christmas tree and holiday decorations. It's all at Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante, 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton, California. Call 714-879-4022. At Angelo's and Vinci's, we ask, how many glasses of wine does it take to have a Merry Christmas? Enjoy the research.
The following ad contains shocking material. Listener discretion is advised. Is someone in your family playing a dangerous game of Russian roulette? Over 43,000 people die a year from drug overdose. 120 people a day. 5 people every hour. 1 person every 12 minutes. 88,000 people die every year from alcohol abuse. Over 240 people a day. 10 an hour. 1 person every 6 minutes. Somebody you know may be next. Learn how to help someone you love get away from the drugs, alcohol, and bad influences. With the FMLA, people can take a leave of absence from their job and still keep it.
Call Quit Drugs 321 now at 800-378-3315, 800-378-3315, 800-378-3315. That's 800-378-3315.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
Stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time, having a good time.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Rose.
Hey.
And how cool to have this song with Bohemian Rhapsody zipping toward the top of the chart. Actually, I don't know if it's doing great still. It was doing pretty well.
Everybody loved it.
Is this a Queen song? What song?
Oh, this is absolutely Freddie Mercury.
No, it's right. But what song?
Don't Stop Me Now.
Don't Stop Me Now.
And if you ever watch Jimmy Fallon's
Lip Sync
Battle feature, Paul Rudd. Folks, do yourself a favor. Google Jimmy Fallon, Lip Sync Battle, Paul Rudd. He does this song.
Rudd's great.
Knocks it out of the park.
Nice.
I mean, it's not up there with Randy Rainbow, but it's very close to being a... That's your second favorite.
Yeah.
Google Randy Rainbow. He is a social media star. He has the most amazing
videos,
parody songs,
amazing
videos. If you're a super Donald Trump fan, you're not going to be happy. So, second candidate for Moron of the Week. This guy is named John Lindell, and he's a pastor of the James River Church in Ozark, Missouri. And he's down on yoga. He thinks it has demonic... I said he's down on yoga.
Like Downward Dog?
He doesn't like it. Oh. Demonic Roots. He gave a sermon recently, and he warned congregants about the spiritual dangers of fortune-telling, Wicca, a form of paganism, and finally yoga. He said the sun salutation in yoga, a common sequence of positions, is meant to worship Surya, the Hindu sun god. To say the positions of yoga are no more than an exercise or tantamount to saying water baptism is just aqua aerobics. So he's got away with words, Pastor.
Yeah, he does.
Lindell.
That's pretty
During
clever.
meditation, he said, people clear their minds. Sometimes they chant a mantra, which can incorporate names of Hindu gods. This is spiritually dangerous for people to empty their minds. He said the main concern is
the devil might sneak in.
Yeah, that's right. So the yoga people in the community are very unhappy.
Yeah.
He said, our yoga studio just lost 10 members the Monday after the sermon. So
Pastor Joe says I can't go.
He's a little over the top. So the first moron of the week candidate was Steph Curry, who thinks we've never landed on the moon. Second candidate is the pastor down on yoga. Who's the most moronic guy of the week?
Okay, I'm biased, okay? I know I'm biased because
I don't like the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah, no, I actually do like the Warriors. And I like Steph Curry too much, and thus I'm really persuaded towards the other guy.
So you say Pastor Lindell is...
I think it's Pastor Lindell.
I think so, too.
I think if Pastor Lindell just had a good long yoga session, he'd learn that it's really just extremely boring and difficult, and it's not demonic at all. And if there were more demonic, there'd be more horns and red mist.
What you think is that Pastor Lindell should do hot yoga, and he should be in there for like 40 hours.
I wish no ill upon this idiot.
So you sound just like Judge Kavanaugh.
Yes, of course.
All right, so he's the winner of the contest.
Yes, he is.
The loser of the week, Melania Trump, apparently, according to CNN, and they never lie, her poll numbers have plummeted. And I'm thinking to myself, what did she do?
Why does she have polls?
If you don't like her, you don't like her, but why would her poll numbers plummet? Well, first ladies, they're included in the poll surveys for a long time. Apparently, when she came out with her Be Best initiative, she had strong favorable ratings, even though it makes no sense. I mean, it's not grammatical.
No,
Be Best,
it doesn't. And it's an anti-bullying campaign, and she's the wife of the biggest bully in America.
Well, there's irony.
Yeah.
So she was at 51%. Apparently, there are two possibilities. Let me know what you think of this. She recently said women who accuse men of sexual misconduct must have hard evidence.
Oh, that's not
good. And secondly, she said, I could say I'm the most bullied person in the world.
Oh, yeah, she's the victim.
Do you think those were the reasons that Melania's numbers went down?
I think the playing the victim and saying, like, oh, woe is me, really plays badly with a base of people who are looking at you and going, excuse me, you are a millionaire, husband is ostensibly a billionaire.
She wears that jacket, too, saying, I don't care to you or something.
I think that really
Finally, guys, we have to correct a problem. Julia Roberts, her roles keep getting better as she gets older and older. A newspaper talked about this. There was a typo in the headline. It said, Julia Roberts finds life, and her holes are getting better with age. It's not that. It's her roles. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next week. Have a great one.